As you may already know, my name's Clare Baker and I'm a former clutterholic and borderline hoarder. I successfully cleared all my clutter over 20 years ago without the need for an expensive home visit. And I've been helping people around the world do exactly the same ever since, so that they too can know what it's like to live a clutter-free life forever. I like to share my experiences both before and after I cleared my clutter to help fellow clutterholics and hoarders and their friends and family to understand some of the thoughts, feelings, and experiences that we have when we struggle with clutter. What I share is not intended to be a judgment or criticism of anybody I mention, although I fully understand that some people may take it that way. There are at least three perspectives on the same experiences: yours, mine, and the facts of the experience that probably lie somewhere in between. I share my perspective on my experiences as a reflection from which I can share my learning with others who may have similar experiences. When I decided on Millennium Eve that I was going to break my clutter keeping cycle and finally clear my clutter forever, I realized I was going to have to give up my job to succeed. The what, when, where, why, and how of clearing my clutter forever required me to spend most of my working week learning and researching to find the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, figure out how to put them together, and then test it by doing the doing with my own clutter. I thrived on the challenge, and it felt great to prove everybody wrong when I became clutter-free. When I successfully cleared all my clutter, the assumption was that I would find a full-time job again. Finances were low, so it made sense. However, on my journey, I had learnt how to make balanced, realistic decisions using my head, my heart, and my gut. Before I cleared my clutter, I had only ever used my heart when it came to making decisions about my clutter, and only my head when it came to making decisions about everything else, because that's how my parents had taught me to make decisions. On my journey, I had learned a different way. I learned to take the learning and feedback about past decisions, however uncomfortable that may be, and how much resistance I may feel towards accepting it. When I'd cleared my clutter, my heart and my gut were telling me I wasn't cut out to be an employee again. The challenge and success of creating the 7-step journey had given me a sense of purpose, drive, and independence, and I couldn't imagine any job that would ever give me all of that. So I made an appointment to see my therapist, the woman who was alongside me as I created the journey and helped me to process the traumas in my life that I had finally faced. She had been my appropriate support through the bad days and tough weeks. As I explained my dilemma of the financial need to work, yet the total inability to get excited by any job, Meg suggested I take a personal development course called N.L.P, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Having seen my brother and father professionally, she understood our family dynamics and dysfunction well. She recommended N.L.P because it's all about understanding thoughts, behaviors, and the art of effective communication, skills she knew that my family didn't have, and therefore I never learnt, but needed. It will enable you to continue learning, which you love. It will help you figure out what your next step in life might be, and it will give you some skills you can use both in the present and potentially use in your future. Great, sign me up. I had transformed my mind and my life by clearing my clutter. Now it was time to build on that and take it to the next level. I flourished on the course. I finally felt like I was establishing my new comfort zone and fine-tuning my best life. For 6 months, I was around like-minded people who got it. I felt understood, respected, accepted, valued, and most importantly, safe to say what I honestly thought. A new experience for me. I felt relaxed and able to be my imperfect self for the first time in my life. Better late than ever, eh? I still remember the day I had my most significant light bulb moment that would go on to transform my relationships and consequently my life. It was a day we learnt that most people in this world do not set out to make us feel any of the emotions in the bad, fearful, angry, disgusted, or sad sections of our emotions wheel. We are all responsible for our own feelings. You mean I'm not responsible for how other people feel? And although we can't control other people and what they say or do, we can control and choose how we react to what they say or do to us. That was when I realized that my life was full of drama. I was constantly reacting to other people's drama, and yes, time to be brutally honest, sometimes even subconsciously creating my own drama, because the people in my life thrived on it. I always got drawn into other people's dramas, telling myself and being told by them I was such a good, understanding friend, when in fact it was my desperate need for validation that fueled my people-pleasing behavior. In reality, we were mutual enablers, feeling invisible without the drama. I realized that I only felt alive when I was dealing with drama, whether it was in my life or other people's. Without drama, I felt all the emotions in the bad and sad sections of the emotions wheel: vulnerable, lonely, empty, powerless, and inferior. Being involved in drama was my antidote to those uncomfortable feelings and emotions. I felt my relationships were conditional, and the only coping mechanism I knew was being a good girl, prioritizing and pleasing others. Creating drama was an attempt to get some validation of my self-worth. On that Saturday in the Polish Centre in Hammersmith, London, I realised that how I choose to react to situations is within my control. I had to take responsibility. That day, I made a conscious decision to stop creating and being drawn into drama. I decided to actively avoid gossiping, something my therapist had told me was taking valuable time, energy, and focus away from me achieving and living my best life. Of course, this change didn't happen overnight. Old habits die hard. Other people's expectations of you die hard too. I started getting into a routine of doing my Wheel of Life review at least every 3 months so that I could get clear, really clear, about what my priorities were. That enabled me to create daily affirmations that gave me the confidence to protect my boundaries every day and minimize the risk of me becoming a people pleaser or sabotaging my time to work on my best life goals. I started to consciously put in boundaries and prioritize my time, energy, focus, and effort on my best life, not other people's. Their best life is their responsibility. I learnt the power of ignoring the phone if I was doing something important to me. It took longer to switch off the voice in my head that said, but they won't think what you're doing is important. What they need now is more important than what you want. You're capable, so you should help them. When I stopped reacting to other people's dramas in my life, it became calmer and more fulfilling. I became focused on quality, not quantity, and in every sense of the word. Other people's reactions to the changes in my life were mainly negative. You've changed. Judgmental. N.L.P is a cult. And accusatory. You're so selfish. Don't you care? When I refused to put my parents' wants and needs before my own over my own wedding, my mother told people I was being difficult because I was mentally ill. In reality, I was developing my emotional intelligence, my ability to manage my own emotions, understand and, importantly, not be driven by the emotions and priorities of those around me, namely my parents. I learned to reframe all these things as signs that my new boundaries were working and that these people were struggling with their own discomfort of not having me as their enabler. I realized that they lacked the emotional intelligence I was developing, and they had resistance to taking responsibility for their own feelings. And that's okay, but I wasn't going to revert to the previous version of myself to make them more comfortable. When I started to put myself, my needs, my dreams, my best life first, I started achieving them. My best life was calmer. I could easily recognize what to spend my time, energy, focus, and effort on. Over time, people who were all about the drama naturally left my life. We choose how to react to what someone says or does. When you realize you are responsible for how you feel and how you respond in any given situation, you hold the power and give yourself choices. Allow others to trigger emotions in the bad, fearful, angry, disgusted, or sad section of your emotional wheel, or take the sting and the drama out of your life so you can calmly, confidently, passionately live your best life in the present. As always, the choice is yours. You can clear your clutter fast or you can clear your clutter forever, but you can't clear your clutter forever fast. However long it takes, if it helps you to live your best life, it's going to be worth it.